we're going to kind of go through
All
that.
you learn.
You stop it. We're going to go through a lot of that. So it'll kind of give you information on a lot of stuff that maybe you didn't know about skincare and some of the rules and regulations behind it. So it'll be kind of interesting.
Yeah. All right. So let's start off. Intros, catching up. What have you done? I don't know. My months have gone by so quickly.
What did we do? Let me look. What did I do in the last month? I think, I was in North Carolina. What did I do? I was in we had the Aesthetic show.
Oh, yeah, July, the Aesthetic show.
We had the Aesthetic show.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was in North Carolina with ACT, Aesthetic Consulting and Training with Grace McLaren, who has an expert series. And she's phenomenal. She brings in trainers from all over the world to her amazing clinic in Hickory, North Carolina. And I was lucky enough to be asked to go out there, and I did an entire day thread training there at the facility, which is just amazing. So she's one of those people that is an OG. She's been in it for years. And she is in it for the education. So I love meeting people that have a focus like we do.
I know. I think I'm going to try to see if I can figure out how to create an app for all of us out there with regards to just different training schools, different programs out there, even conferences. And then you guys can give your opinions, and hopefully it's like a Yelp for the aesthetic industry, because it's interesting, what you said, like going out there, there's certain people that went there, they're like, I went to this training program and it was very disappointing.
Right. Yeah.
Not to name any names, but
yeah. Some people came up to me and said, we went to
Blah, blah,
program A with provider B, and it was a waste of our money. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I would never think that with that provider.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised. So your idea of having some kind of an app or like an aesthetic Yelpy kind of a thing,
guys?
That you could give your opinion and rate these schools and kind of give your opinion, the
but
education
even just conferences,
and conferences,
global conferences, because I think there's so many different things that are going on in the industry. And to me, when we talk to you guys out there, we're always saying, hey, make sure you spend a little bit of your time and energy and budget on a yearly basis to do an educational program.
So it's got to be worth it.
But it has to be worth it. You don't want to waste your money and, have it be like, oh, yeah, that was good. But the problem is, if you guys don't speak out and tell other people what's good, what's not, what did you learn really well, or was it like it's an okay course, it's great for foundations, or it's great if you've already know this. I think, I don't know. If I have more time, we'll create an app like that.
I love that idea. I love the idea because we share with each other a lot, like the people that we know, our colleagues. But I don't know if sometimes it gets to other people who aren't connected to us.
There are a lot of people. I mean, yes, there's lots of connections, and the whole goal is hopefully creating that community. So you guys that are part of our digital library, please make sure you guys use the community. I think we need to get a little bit more interactive sometimes on that and create more activity with regards to that. Like we could start that process on our little community forum. We should.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, like
what? Okay, you guys, we're gonna get our brains going here and think about that, because it would help people really put your resources into something that's going to be worth it for you. It's got it. Your education has got it. The money you spend, you need to get that in return, easy or tenfold, I think, in knowledge. So I like the idea.
It was Melissa, completely. I mean, those are the things, you're sold on these amazing things, you're gonna get hands-on, and then you literally get there and they're like, hands-on is right. There's some courses I've heard, like I do a lot of threads trainings, and I think some of the companies that we train for really dedicate themselves to really a good hour with a trainer, because it's very, very individualized and you really get to feel the tissue. And then you go to bigger ones and everyone goes, oh, that was so much cheaper. And then you really ask them, and it's like, I got one thread and I put it in and that was it. It's like, did you really learn? Did you really, really get what you're paying for? I think that's the hardest thing out there to really gauge. I mean, I know our program, we spend time and effort to really try and emphasize that, but until you get there and you've done it and listen to what other people have said, it's hard to believe. It's hard to rate things. Yeah,
I agree.
So it gets very disappointing because your money, you took time to earn it, and you don't want to waste it. And unfortunately, a lot of free education out there is free. But at the end of the day, some of the free education, like from the companies, I know when I train for like a Galderma or an Allergan or any of them, it is golden handcuffs. And you guys have to realize when we train, majority of trainers out there probably don't do what we actually say in those trainings, because we have golden handcuffs and we're only allowed to talk FDA approval, like this free form. So ask away your questions. But like, I know a lot of people say, I don't like kissing the lips. I'm like, no, I don't use kissing the lips.
I do.
Really.
I love it.
I don't use it very much
at
all. I use kiss underneath the eyes.
Yes.
I love contour in the lips. It's what I might go to nowadays. So, there's a lot of things that we do off label that, unfortunately, it is very difficult to find the right conferences that are going to give you the information that you're looking for.
Yeah, to bounce off of that, I think too, when you're looking for a school, here we go, totally off topic here.
It's okay.
But when you're looking for a school, or when you're looking to really learn something, ask them how many instructors to how many students there are. And make sure you don't have 50 students and one instructor, because you're not going to learn anything. So we have no more than 5 students a day in our school. So each student gets an hour with us one-on-one. So what I'm saying is ask the school that wherever you're going to go, and make sure you get that time on tissue.
But it depends. If you're brand new and you need someone to guide you with the experience, handhold you to actually inject, then yes, you need those type of courses. But I think if you've been in the industry for long enough, you can go to bigger courses where they're just injecting on stage, and you can picture 3D wise how you're going to implement that into your patients. I think that can be valuable as well. I think it really depends, knowing yourself, where you are at your level, what you're looking for. What are you trying to gain out of these conferences, these educational programs? Because that's what's going to resonate more with really changing the way and elevating your aesthetic game.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Super important. Anyway, there's our tidbit for you, okay?
All right, we are going to jump into today's topic, medical grade skincare. I know people are always, the question is it worth it? Is it worth the value, the money to do it, blah, blah, blah. And what is the difference between medical grade skincare versus just over-the-counter skincare lines?
Yeah, and how is it regulated, and how can you differentiate it so you can educate your patients on the differences and why you and your office carry a specific brand or whatever of medical grade skincare. Right. So hopefully when we go through this, it'll kind of make things a little bit more clear, I hope, in what we know about it.
Yeah. All right. So what is medical grade skincare? So these products are actually going to be more potent. So they actually do use a higher concentration of ingredients. They're going to use ingredients more in their purest forms. Hopefully they have technology, research behind them. There is going to be more FDA oversight because you're going to use higher grade ingredients, more pure ingredients. And majority of these are really going to be, I wouldn't say completely regulated, but they're probably going to be sold through a medical practitioner for guidance because of the research behind it, because of the latest technologies. And so, it's going to cost a little bit more.
Yeah, you're paying for a lot of the research, because some of these products, and we'll probably get into one that there's some that have the most research out of any products on the market, and that research is not cheap. So it's really expensive, but I love to look at products that have research. Yeah. As far as white papers and peer reviewed, I just like to see what's out there and what research is out there, what it does to the tissue. You have in medical grade, you've got ingredients that have to be listed, and you know what's in it, and you know how much of what is in it, as opposed to over the counter.
Yeah. Over-the-counter stuff, I mean, they can hide it in proprietary, blah, 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 blah. I think medical grade skincare is a little bit more, I guess you could say they have to open their themselves out to be a little bit more scrutinized. Ultimately, medical grade skincare are definitely going to be more potent. When there's more potency, that means reason why it needs to be sold under the care of a provider is because there are going to be some people who may not tolerate it, and you're going to have to deal with maybe some allergic reactions and things like that. And so you have to realize on the commercial standpoint, if you have something that's commercialized and the mass majority can use it, you honestly need to make it so that probably 99.9% of your patient of the population that's buying it is not going to have any real, you can say real effect, but they're not going to have any allergic reactions
adverse events.
to it or adverse events, because you don't want to get sued. It's just out there. People are just buying it, and you don't want to get a lot of things where you're getting a lot of return.
Right.
So it's kind of more just like, okay, we put a little bit of this ingredient in there, and it's a marketing thing on that aspect.
And we call it HA serum. And in the medical grade, you've got products that are made to penetrate deeper. So they might be a smaller micron, whatever it is, they might have products in it that's going to help it penetrate a little bit better. So you've kind of got that in some of the medical grade products, and that's going to elicit a little bit more of a response, hence the things that we can't put over the counter.
Ooh, the last one should be flipped around. Sit on the surface is more over the counter. Penetrates the epidermis and deeper layers of skin is medical grade. Because ultimately they're gonna utilize technologies that will help them maybe nanoparticulize it so it actually penetrates deeper into the tissue, which is where you're going to get these effective changes on your products, and so ultimately medical grade versus over the counter, there is. Not that over the counter is bad. There are definitely some over the counter ones that have done probably some research, have used some things, and you can buy them over the counter. But if you're going to look at the overall general concepts of medical grade, you're going to have a lot more safety, have a lot more potency, a lot more potential effectiveness in a purer form, in a sense. So,
and the FDA does regulate this. They regulate really the medical grade products very closely. And it's under the Federal Food and Cosmetic Act, which that's what's kind of under. So most of the ingredients or the lines are sold as pharmaceuticals. So all the medical grade stuff that's got all the research behind it is generally sold as a pharmaceutical. And it's by law, it's got to have 99.9% of the active ingredients have to be pure. So it can't be diluted, it can't be watered down, it can't be mixed with other things. They've got to have 99.9% pure ingredients in these, and that's by law. So they also have to have scientific evidence showing that their skincare product does whatever it says it does. So by law, like I said, FDA is tight on this. If they say it helps you grow fibrin and collagen, it better be doing that in the histological studies or they're going to get in trouble. So these companies really have to watch their research very closely and really document things very carefully and really have good statistics and good outcomes on it before they really are authorized to sell this under a medical grade skincare line. And there's usually a few years of studies done on these products before they come. And that's what I like about carrying. We only carry medical grade skincare because we know what's in it, we know the research, and we can explain that to our patients. And that's why they're paying a little bit more, maybe. So some of my patients will come in and say, I'm using La Mer and it feels so good and it smells good. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Because you don't know what's in some of these products. People might pay for a very expensive line from a high-end store, and it might be nothing more than an emollient and something that smells good, and it might have a little hyaluronic acid, big deal, but it's not going to get in there and really help regenerate tissue. So, but that might cost even more than some of the medical grade skincare. So some of those really expensive over-the-counter ones from the high-end stores cost more than what we're selling that has the research behind it. And that's what I really try to tell our patients. You got to think about this. If you're spending $200 for your Chanel cream or Lancome, whatever it is, I would change over to something where we know what's in it, we know what research is behind it.
No, it's true. I mean, I know there was one person I met that literally was one of the CEOs of one of these cosmetic companies, and he's like, yeah, we make them for all of these, and he listed literally like 40 or 50 different companies that they're literally made by the same
Hashtag
cosmetic
L'Oreal.
company.
Hashtag L'Oreal probably, because L'Oreal is a conglomerate.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of those companies that kind of does that, right?
Yep.
They have hair care and skin care and all these things are underneath it.
Yep.
Right.
And so, and it's not to say over the counter. There are certain lines that I think over the counter, like a Dermalogica, that really do pay attention to really, really provide excellent product lines.
Right.
I mean, even I'm talking with them and they're actually creating a whole medical line, more into the medical grade esthetician lines that you'll probably start seeing over the next, couple of months that's going to be out there. And so ultimately, you have to realize that, just because it's over the counter, you can still get some benefits of a medical grade as long as the company holds themselves. You have to realize it takes a lot of money to do these research. So these products are not going to be cheaper. They're going to be a certain price because it takes a certain amount of R&D to get to a certain level of expectations.
Right.
So.
Yep.
Many prefer,
many prefer to use the term clinically evidenced skincare because some people have really blurred the lines between medical grade and what's cosmetic. So make sure you've got medical grade. Make sure there's research behind what you're choosing. I think that's what's very important. So we want to talk about some of the major players in the medical grade market that we kind of know of.
Yeah, PCA has been around for a while.
Yeah.
They unfortunately now are owned by a conglomerate.
Right.
Which unfortunately a lot of these end up in a conglomerate eventually. But ultimately, PCA I know has been known more for their peels is where they end, and then they kind of created a line from their chemical peels that has expanded them into a global brand with regards to their line.
Yeah. And Elta-MD is another medical grade, and this came from Switzerland. So it was in the 1800s. This started a long time ago, looking at healing ointments and such. And it was from Switzerland. It kind of came and grew. They did more research on it. And a lot of people like their sunscreen. The Elta-MD is one of the favorite sunscreens used by many people. They have tinted, non-tinted, and they have other things too. But it's a really nice, smooth. And Colgate Palmolive bought them too. So Colgate Palmolive bought everybody in 2017. Yeah.
And then SkinCeuticals, I think a lot
Speaking
of people.
L'Oreal.
A lot of people like the SkinCeuticals lines. I think the CE Ferulix, was it the B5 hydrating serum that they used to have?
Yeah.
Lots of, there were more, was it their little tinctures, or what is it?
The droppers,
like
the serums. Yep.
It's kind
It's
of
been a while since I've used them.
where they were a big player into that aspect of it.
Yep. Zio, Dr.
Zio.
Zeno Baji, brilliant dermatologist. He wants to send people to heaven with the skin they were born with. That's kind of his theme, which is really neat. Very smart man, done a lot of research with his products. And he still is alive. He still is here in California. But he really is kind of famous for more of the pigmentation programs, the 3-step big peels, the big pigmentation peels, 3-step peels. And he is very into the company, really wants to, they love to prep that skin and really treat that skin and transform it. And in my office, when I see people that are using the products, the Getting Skin Ready package that they have, and it's kind of in a way that it's easy for patients to use, their skin has transformed. It's crazy. So it's really cool.
Consistent. I mean, the hard part as a guy is I'm not very consistent with skincare. Honestly,
at all.
Care less. I'd rather do treatments. I mean, if you watch my Instagram, I'd rather do a laser and microneedling
than use sunblock.
I actually don't. But at the end of the day, I have access to it that I can repair some of that damage. Thank you, my staff, for working with me on that.
So this is owned by Blackstone. Doesn't Blackstone pretty much run everything? Is that
Well,
what we're
private
talking about?
equity firm.
Interesting.
Right? Private equity firm.
Interesting. I didn't see that before. Alastin. Alastin is probably the most researched medical grade skincare product out there today. They have put so much money into research, and they've come out with probably the only product that has been shown to actually help grow collagen, that actually helps clear out that extracellular matrix, which is kind of like the clogged plumbing we have in the tissue from years of, just collagen and fibrin not working. Helps clear that out and helps that new collagen and fibrin growth, which I've never seen.
Nectar, right?
The nectar and the regenerative complex. So I've never seen a product do that. I've seen treatments, CO2, radiofrequency microneedling, regular microneedling, heat and damage. We can do damage to the skin and create collagen growth and induce collagen. I've never seen a product that will do that. So guess what I use? Yeah. I love Alastin. And the sunblock is great too.
Right.
It's awesome.
Right.
So, and Galderma just bought that company. So now it's when patients buy Alastin, they can get Galderma points or whatever that thing is. So the front office does that. But it all kind of goes together.
All goes together.
Yeah.
Skin Better. Nice little one. I think they're known for the Alpha Ret line.
Yeah. Skin Better's good. They're noted for the Alpha Ret line, which is similar to the retinol that Alastin has, but it's made in such a way that it penetrates and it's controlled. So you don't get a lot of flaking with it. Both of them, both the retinols, you don't get much flaking with it at all. So over time you get microflaking, and that's where the skin is enhanced. But Skin Better does that also.
Owned by L'Oreal.
L'Oreal, what do you know?
Allergan owns Skin Medica. So Skin Medica was their TNS serums is really where it came out, which is another one that helps with skin rejuvenation.
That's got growth serum. It's got growth factors.
Yep,
the TNS.
exactly.
So the only thing with TNS is if somebody has, or any growth factors with any company, if somebody already has a history of skin cancer, like basal cell, squamous cell, melanoma, if they have a history of that, I would caution about using growth serums because you are helping all the cells grow. It's really kind of fertilizing all of that. So I would be a little bit more cautious and thoughtful before I would give that to some people. Yeah.
Obagi, they were like early on with their whole new derm system. It was a whole kit for depigmentation. They did a great job for pigmentation, melasma. Of course, Dr. Obagi was the one that created this line, and then it ended up getting sold probably about 10 years ago.
10 years ago or more, yeah.
And then that's when he ended up creating the ZO line, Zen-Obagi line.
And you know what? That's because he didn't have control over this.
Yeah.
So they kind of went in a direction that he was like, oh no, my name's going with that. So that's why he started the ZO line. He has total control over that, and it's got a little bit different technology in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Illumier is really nice. They were launched in 2016, so they are a newer player in the market, and they have quite a bit of research behind theirs. Were developed pretty much in Europe, I think, and it's a pretty fast-growing skincare line. They really they talk about their skincare being like very clean science and good as far as good healthy skin and regenerative products. So and they're privately held. Nobody's bought them yet.
So and there's a lot more. Is Revision one of them? Revision's one of them that's been out there.
We kind of forget. We're trying to think off the top of our heads.
So many.
Revision is great too. Revision has Epionce. I love Epionce. Revision is one that has something called it's the one that relaxes the muscle. It's the darn it. Okay, I can't remember the name. Sorry, you guys. Brain fart. It is. It's like a line eraser. So it actually will help hit the same receptors as toxin does in the superficial skin. So when I'm trying to think of the name of it, and it's sitting outside my office. But if you put it with your toxin, like you have patients do toxin, and you sell them the line eraser, is it relaxin? Anyway, it's like a little pen, and it will help actually prolong the duration of your toxin, which is kind of nice. So that's revision.
Cool.
They have a nice one.
Revox.
Thank you. Thanks, Janice. Thank you. Brain fart. Thank you. Revox. It's nice. So we'll kind of, on those thinner areas, not that it's going to soak into the glabella, but it's going to help. Everybody knows it's Revox, but me. Thanks, you guys. But it will help to soak in. It will help prolong the duration of that toxin effect, which is kind of nice.
That's nice.
Which is really nice. Yeah.
Any thoughts on Environ?
Environ. I've never heard of Environ.
Never heard of Environ.
I haven't heard of Environ. No. Interesting. Yeah, tell us.
Yeah. I think the one line, what's new line that I played with? Epicutis is one that I played with that I actually do like. They come from a biotech company, and their whole thing is 3 products, super clean, like 7, 8 ingredients in each one, except I think the serum has like 12 ingredients or something like that. Nice. So they're really about super clean. I'm not a big skincare person. I look at it, but I tell my patients you need it. I mean, ultimately, if I had to balance, I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm in a quandary sometimes. I tell patients, if you're in a budget, then I want you to do the things like lasers, microneedling, RF, things that will do that. But if you have the budget to do more, then I think it definitely is symbiotic, and 1 + 1 is not 2. 1 + 1 is equal to 3 or 4.
Yeah.
With regards to that.
I was going to mention Epionce, which was developed by a physician named Carl Thornfeld in, I think it's Idaho. Dermatologist, super smart guy. It's mostly botanical. So a lot of the ingredients that he has in his products, which they smell great, they feel good, and he has a truckload of research behind Epionce. So there's a lot of really good things in that, and he's done a lot of head-to-head studies with other big medical-grade skincare companies, and come out very well, actually. So Epionce is another line that I was going to say a little bit more about that. So
Biojuve, have you played with that one?
No.
That's the one from Skin Pen.
Oh,
there's the one that they're about building back the microbiome in your skin. They actually have kind of that thing that feeds the microbiome and continues to grow into that area.
Interesting.
I think we've tried it. The hard part about skincare, honestly, in my opinion, is you really have to try it for 3 to 6 months. And I think you have to read through the science and understand your demographics of what you're looking for, what is going to support the treatments that you have. That's where I think you choose a skincare line. I mean, I don't think, I personally would not choose a skincare line just because there's too many out there. I think you have to realize your demographics, what you're trying to achieve. If you're in a beach community and they're always getting sun damage and blah, 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 then you need to choose a line that's going to be dealing with pigmentation, overturning skin a little bit more and stuff like that. Versus, if you live in the mountains, it may be, or a desert like Las Vegas, you may want something that's a lot more hydration, and doing a lot of things. So I think understanding that and is going to be important. Jan Marini, I don't believe they're I don't think they're medical grade.
I think Jan Marini's
they're just a
cosmeceutical or something. But years ago,
it does smell funny.
Years ago, the Biojuve.
Yeah.
But years ago, Jan Marini had sunscreen that was awesome. It was like a yellow color.
Yeah.
I used to love that sunscreen. Man, that was like 15 years ago. Remember that? Yeah, it was nice.
Valerie, what you deciphered from FDA was over-the-counter products are not legally allowed to penetrate the epidermal layer.
Maybe not, because we know FDA good, Valerie. We do know that the FDA products can be allowed to penetrate deeper, so that might be true that the over-the-counter can't penetrate, but that makes sense because it's got to be light and fluffy.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't let them pay $300 for their.
Can we go back to the PowerPoint?
Their expensive stuff.
Perfect.
Okay.
So, the whole question with regards to all these medical grade, is it right for your business? Do you need to carry it in your business? Because, some of you guys are part of a bigger clinic and they have the funds to hold skincare lines in there. And then there are ones of you guys that run solo practices, little salons. Is it something that you guys want to carry into it. And I think that that's where you have to understand your patient population. What are you looking for as far as your as far as a product? Is it going to supplement and support what you are doing in your treatments?
And the other thing is too, is that when you want to carry a product line in your clinic, don't just carry one or two. Try to carry at least 6 of the SKU. Like if you can get at least 4 to 6 of that brand, not just 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. Try to because a lot of times they work kind of synergistically together. So we have elastin in my clinic. That's one of the ones we have in my clinic. So we will put the skin regenerative complex that builds collagen with the illuminate, which inhibits pigmentation. We can put them together and stick it on. They can mix it together and stick it on because neither one of them inhibit each other from penetrating. So when you have products that you know work synergistically, sometimes it's a little bit easier. And then patients can purchase, okay, I'm going to get a wash, the retinol, the moisture cream, the sunblock. Maybe if they like one product line, they can do that, which is kind of nice. So keep in mind, you don't want to just piecemeal things around. And then sometimes there are products too, and they can be medical grade that you can put your own name on. Some of those products, just make sure that you know what's in those. Just make sure you really vet that company and that you know what's in the products that you are putting your own name on that can be self-labeled.
And don't forget that you can work with compounding pharmacies to create something that's even more medical. You definitely, these are going to be like your Kligmans, like a combination,
like prescription.
Literally a prescription pharmaceutical. Those things you can carry. Some pharmacies, there are, compounding pharmacies will make certain compounds for you that are definitely really pharmaceutical based. So don't negate that you can actually do that and add that into your practice as well.
Yeah. And two, I know through the years we've kind of changed what we've had in our office because new research comes out. So, it's not you don't have to be glued to one product or one brand, but sometimes new research comes out and you're like, wow, this is amazing. And you might kind of transfer over a little bit to that, but patients always want to know why. They're going to ask you, hey, where's product A? And you're like, well, we went from that to product B because here's the research behind it. So I always like to vet any change with why is this better than what we had before so that patients understand the reasoning behind us changing sometimes. I think that's important.
No, it is important. I think you have to change up your line, and I think most people, once you start using a line, want to switch it out every so often.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think it comes down to bringing in a skincare line really it's a business decision as well. I think there are certain companies out there that actually do drop ships. That will allow you to do a balance, because ultimately one of the things you want to be careful of if patients can find it online, you've done all the homework for that product because you're spending the time explaining how it's going to benefit them, how to use it, all of those things, and they buy it from you once and then they go online and they buy it from someplace else, Schmojo, that is cheaper, and I think you have to be cognizant of that.
Those are the people that come in and go, let me just take a picture of the box, and they're going to go get it online. And two, I just saw someone on Instagram that posted 2 different sunblocks from the same company, and they said, hey, this one's a fake off of Instagram, when actually they bought off of Amazon, and they had the show in the real sunblock. And they were both medical grade, but what happened was the one that was the old was an older one. So that had been discontinued 3 or 4 years ago, and the old one was being sold on Instagram. They thought it was a fake, but it had been discontinued. So patients, just let them know that sometimes it's not in their best interest to buy something that's not from the medical provider ourselves. I think it's important.
Yeah. Kathy asked, how do you get the patient to understand the rationale for medical grade? It's sometimes hard for them to spend money on after doing fillers and toxins and
Not,
stuff like that?
you know, I don't have a problem at all, actually. No matter what they're doing with fillers and toxins and stuff, I usually ask them, like, so what are you doing for your skincare? You have some pigmentation or you have some rosacea. What are you using right now? And that leads me into, you know what, we have something that's medical grade, it's got research behind it. If you ever want to know more about it, let me know, because we have stuff that's got research behind it and you know what you're getting and it's really going to help your skin. And I think if we come across confident that we have read that research, so please read the research, that we believe in the product, the patients will get that. And they don't have to get everything. They can just get one or two things. The other thing that we do is I will bundle these in with treatments.
Yes.
So say elastin. I bundle the elastin nectar, which is the one that's not hydrating, but it helps grow collagen. I bundle that in with anything I'm growing collagen with. So if I'm doing microneedling, radio frequency microneedling, CO2 procedures, anything where I am doing something to induce collagen, that goes in the package. Right. So they put that on morning and night, and it's just going to be synergistic with the treatment. It's going to help my procedure work even better. So feel free to kind of bundle sometimes these products in with some of the treatments you're doing, and not that you have to make money off of them. You can put it into your cost, but they're going to have to come back and get it because they're going to like it.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely. I mean, I think that nowadays people are going to look at it, and if they have the choice to buy this or do their treatments, they're going to always just choose the treatments. You have to look at it from your standpoint of putting it together as a whole package. Yes. People want packages. It's kind of like when we're talking about it when you're doing toxins, fillers, threads, lasers, all of that stuff. You can and you should be starting to talk to your patients about all of that and put it in as a package. Give them a little bit of a discount for buying it as part of the whole package, because it is going to be synergistic, and it really is. It's hard pressed not to want to see them get the best outcomes for it. You know, everyone always wants to do the least amount, pay the least amount, and hopefully get that amazing result. But you got to do the work. You got to use the right things. What you do at home is also 50% of what we do in the clinics, because if you're not taking care of your skin, using your sunscreens, doing all those things, then what you're doing in the clinics every so often is you're literally going 3 steps forward, but then going 4 or 5 steps backwards because you're not supporting what needs to happen in that aspect of it.
Yeah, and Kathy, I agree with you. You say, I hate the hard sell, but love giving the real info. I think we don't, as healthcare providers, it's like, I don't feel like I can sell anything, but I can educate the heck out of someone. So if I know about what I'm doing, I can educate them and just give them the information and help them do with it whatever they want. Right. So I think that's what we want to do rather than sell. We really want to just explain and educate and let them make their own decision. I think that's
and then just making sure that you do have that help from your rep. I mean, that's why the medical skincare companies have reps, is utilize them, have them give you some trainings or staffing or whatever education you need to help you really get and understand how to explain the product well, because they have their marketing that they've done. And if you don't utilize that, that's on you. If you just go by and you're like, oh, I don't, okay, I did one class. Well, you know, it takes 21 days to build in a change, and then it takes 90 days to build in a habit. So you guys really need to understand, just because you bring on a new line, you don't go, oh, okay, we did this. Oh, nobody's buying it. Nobody wants it. Like, you have to do your job of really keep at it.
And the other thing I was going to say is build a good relationship with your rep. Ask them for samples. Yeah. Because when you talk to a patient about, you know, you got some pigment or you look a little dry, give them a sample. Let them try it, let them smell it, let them feel it. They might not like one, but they might like the other. So I think get some samples from your reps.
But they don't. It's also the allergic reaction component. A lot of patients are afraid. They're like, I don't want to change my skincare. It's going to break me out. It's going to do this. I'm definitely one of those. I try not to try too many things, because I have very sensitive skin. I will break out from different things. So giving those samples as a way for them to just at least say, okay, didn't break me out, didn't have any bad reactions. Okay, they have a belief into it. This is the explanation of what it can do and why you're doing it, and it kind of goes from there. So I think utilizing your rep to your advantage or to the betterment of your business and to the betterment of educating your patients is really, really important.
Melissa was asking, what have we found best for pigmentation? At my clinic, it depends on the patient. If the patient has just dyschromia that's just generalized, or a lighter melasma, or none, or just kind of sun damaged little spots, I put everybody on Illuminate, on the Elastin Illuminate. I love it. There was a head-to-head study with Illuminate and 4% hydroquinone, and they did the study in the summer, and the Illuminate reduced pigmentation better than the 4% hydroquinone. I love that. And it's so safe it can be used in pregnancy and breastfeeding. So that's how safe it is for long term. Love that. But if somebody is really dark and they've got a lot of really dark melasma, I might pull in the ZO pigmentation kit. I love that pigmentation kit. And I add on the Elastin retinol. So I like the ZO retinols sometimes are very irritating, and they're great, but they can be very irritating. So I like to start them off with something a little bit less irritating. But that pigmentation that's got the 6% hydroquinone in it, the pigmentation kit, is a great kit to start them off. Don't let them do that for any more than 3 to 4 months, and then they have to stop. But you can wean them onto the Illuminate, and they can stay on that. So if they have a bad issue with melasma, sometimes in the summertime, like June, July, August, you throw them on the Obagi, the hydroquinone, and then the rest of the time you've got them on Illuminate. But keep in mind, heat and UV light are two things that trigger melasma and some of that hormonal pigmentation. So what they do outside of your clinic is paramount to what's happening. So if they're doing hot yoga and they don't know why their melasma's not going away, it's heat. If they're just wearing a baseball hat and they wonder why they have a mustache still, that's not covering their upper lip. So make sure that you educate them and they've got a good medical grade mineral sunblock. Mineral means is titanium and zinc. Throw away all the sunblocks that have chemicals like the avobenzene, oxaloxylate, all of those. Get rid of those because those do not cover the full UVA, UVB. Zinc and titanium cover the full UVA, UVB. And that is going to be your best. So that's all we carry in our clinic. But try to make sure that if they're going to wear a sunblock, make sure it's going to cover the whole spectrum.
Yeah. Illuminate is part of the Elastin line.
Illuminate, it's ALLUMINAT. It's Illuminate. Yeah, it's newer. It came out the last few months, but phenomenal. Really like it. I like the safety in it too.
There's a lot to this, I mean, skincare it's hard. I mean, I would definitely say that it is very, very hard to jump into believing into medical grade skincare. I think, at the end of the day, it's a balance of figuring out who as your rep is going to be supportive, because it doesn't help really make or break you as far as being able to give some samples, being able to get your staff educated, because you need their touch points with skincare need to not only come from just you as a provider, but from the front, and so if they can get the staff on board with it, getting them some products, it's like, oh my God, yeah, I use that as well, blah, blah, blah. They're all talking at it while you're checking them out, all of that stuff. It's important because it's, at the end of the day, it's an educational aspect of it from front to back to the front. Yeah.
And Leilani, I think, was asking about how many skincare products is a good range to have in your practice. Some practices I've seen, they have one line and it's all their own label. So I was back in St. Louis and I saw one of my colleagues, and it's beautiful. She had everything from amazing soy candles to bath salts to skincare, and it was all her own private labeling, which was beautiful, and it smelled great and stuff. I don't know what was in it, but it looked gorgeous. But some people have one or two. Some people carry. I was in Houston, and one of the providers must have had like 10 different lines. So I was even confused. So that's tough. That's going to be your specific clinic choice on how much is going to confuse your patients. I think what's important is that you know everything about the things that you are selling, and it's impossible to know everything about 5-6 different brands. So kind of wean it down to maybe 2 or 3, but know everything you can about those and try not to cross over. Like if you've got one line, like we have Zeo that does the hydroquinone. Okay, I don't have another one that's got that. And then you have another line that's like mostly botanical, so that might be good for people with skincare sensitivities. Then you have another line that has, like grows collagen or whatever. Right. So maybe 2 or 3 lines, but it's hard, depends on the size of your clinic and your space.
On the size of your clinic and your space. You may want to carry a little lower level line that's a little bit more affordable, and then you can carry a little higher end line for those that want a little bit more of the oomph and stuff like that. So there's no right or wrong. I think you just have to figure out for yourself and your clientele, your patient population, what you are looking for with regards to that. So I think we belabor that.
Oh, so Jan Marini is registered with the FDA. Peer-reviewed published studies. Oh, thanks, Vivian. Did not know that. I've only used the sunblock years ago. So looks like multiple patents, R&D.
I haven't heard them or seen them at any shows.
I haven't seen them
medical
anywhere either. So so it looks like it's medical grade and it's registered with the FDA. So good. Thank you. Thanks, Vivian. Thank you very much.
There's so many different things. Even the exosome line that we use, the Benev, they're coming out with their own skincare line. We can actually take the exobalm, and you actually take the exosome, you drop it in there, stir it up, and it has to be refrigerated. So there's so many cool, interesting things. Ultimately, to me, skincare is it's an additive benefit to it. I would never say that it's a primary thing that I would do for my patients. It's definitely a supportive thing that adds to the benefit and the results for your patients while they are not being seen by you.
I think so too. And it really helps transform their skin, and patients are really happy, but let them know that it's going to take time. This is not
skincare's a time.
You're not going to put a lotion on your face and like in a week go, hey, my wrinkles are gone. That's not going to happen. So it's taken them 30 years to get where they are. Let them know it's going to take a while to get them turned around.
And they probably won't do like a ton. I mean, this is why we do what we do. We get in a lot more aggressively with the treatments that we do. Your skincare, in my opinion, should be there to be supportive, to create that extra nutrition to support them when they're at home, and support the treatments that we do.
Yep.
All right.
Oh gosh, we just chatted the whole time. Thank you so much for your questions, you guys.
I know.
Really appreciate that. We're getting to where our time is up already, and this went fast.
I know.
So we are going to
AI Live.
Our next AI Live is going to be
August 29th. Next, I guess September, the first week we're going to be headed towards Aesthetic next. So we won't be able to do this the first week of September, but we're doing the last week of August. It's going to be August 29th, 5 p.m., same time, same channel. And we are going to be talking about some PDO threads with Dr. Jessie Chung. She's an amazing dermatologist out of Chicago. She actually, if you go on her Instagram, she talks a lot about, I guess, O shots and P shots and a lot of sexual health stuff. So you guys can totally ask away on questions with regards. I'm definitely going to ask her.
Right? You're going to ask her.
I mean, she was even talking about toxing the actual penis and how that actually helps it grow.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah, it was super interesting.
I heard about that.
Jump on at the end of the month. It's 3 weeks from now, August 29th, and we're going to be talking about PDO threads.
Like the opposite of what someone wants.
We're going to ask a lot of different things. You know what?
Wait a minute.
Know what? There's a lot of interesting
that paralyzes
things.
muscle.
It paralyzes muscle, but there's no muscle down there, in a sense. It actually vasodilates, which actually enlarges.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very interesting concept. So you guys, just letting you know, we're bringing her on. She has some amazing cool things. I think it'll be cool. But anyway,
that would be interesting. So if you guys want to ask her those questions, feel free. We're going to be talking about threads, but she has a lot of different interests, and she's a really great gal.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun. So this AI Live will be available on YouTube within the next week and a half. Once our team can edit this, and then you can see it on YouTube. So you can see that on there later on.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you very much, guys.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you at the next AI Live.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, guys.